episode 253, OpenAI Code Red.
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI 6 podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
Earlier this month, Sam Altman of OpenAI sent an internal memo to all staff declaring a code red. So what does it mean? Well, everyone stop what you're doing and focus on making ChatGPT better than it is now. In fact, it needs to be the best large language model. Hello and welcome back to AI 6, the podcast that is helping you embrace AI in just 6 minutes a day. I'm your host, Joanne Sweeney, and don't forget, on Saturdays, we have the long listen, and on Sundays, I take a break. So, reporting from The Information, from Reuters, the Associated Press, and other media outlets say OpenAI is delaying or slowing some key initiatives, some experiments, shopping and health agents, and even a personal assistant project so that teams can concentrate on ChatGPT's speed, reliability, and ability to handle a wider range of queries. You could call it going back to large language model basics. Inside the company, meanwhile, Code Red is basically the highest urgency setting, a temporary reorganization of people and priorities around one goal: fix the core product. Here's how Matt Wolf described it on his YouTube channel.
Why did they actually issue the code red? Well, you had benchmark losses. OpenAI is no longer automatically the best model. Gemini 3 and Claude Opus 4.5 beat them in most benchmarks, and even Grok from XAI is beating OpenAI in a lot of the benchmarks now. There's rising competition from well-funded rivals like Google and Anthropic and these new labs that are popping up from ex-OpenAI founders and team members. You have talent attrition. Brain drain is making it harder to innovate and maintain the lead. And you have internal strategic uncertainty, like there's too many initiatives, too many possible directions, and likely a pretty diluted focus. They want to build browsers and news aggregators and agents and image generators and video generators and new voice modes and health agents and coding apps, and they're even working on physical hardware, when in reality, most people just want ChatGPT to get a little bit smarter and respond more how they want it to respond. Most of the world sees the rest as just noise, and myself kind of included most of the time.
Nick Turley, who leads ChatGPT, has been talking about making the assistant feel more intuitive and personal for everyday users, and doubling down on things like search and question answering as the key battlegrounds. But why Code Red, and why now, and why the urgency? Why, after 3 years, after ChatGPT literally exploded onto our timelines, our news feeds, and on our phones, is the company launching a code red? Well, the short answer is competition and the public narrative around that fierce competition. If you listened to a recent episode of AI 6 on Google's Gemini 3 model, well, you might understand a little more about the background to the story, because it's being reported that Gemini 3 is beating ChatGPT on several industry benchmarks, and they are growing fast in user numbers. CNBC and the Financial Times and others are openly talking about a shift in momentum, with Wall Street and a lot of enterprise buyers suddenly treating Google as the new AI frontrunner. At the same time, Anthropic, who owns Claude, is leaning hard into the quietly competent enterprise player. Its CEO, Dario Amodei, has already taken a swipe at both OpenAI and Google, pointing out that Anthropic has not needed to declare any code reds because it's not chasing the same kind of consumer platform drama. Eric Newcomer's newsletter makes the point that Sam Altman's memo lands at a very sensitive moment. Google and Anthropic are enjoying a wave of positive coverage. OpenAI has just had a rough patch of headlines about risk, about data breaches and governance. and the market is asking whether the AI bubble is getting ahead of itself. So, Code Red is not just about model quality, it's about perception. And we know that perception definitely affects market share. It is OpenAI saying to investors, to enterprises, and to developers, we see the threat, we're not coasting, and we are willing to sacrifice new developments and new updates to go back to basics and to really go back to the core of what we do. So what's actually changing inside OpenAI? 3 main shifts, according to commentators. The first is the product focus. OpenAI is pausing or slowing work on advertising, shopping, and health-related agents. I've mentioned shopping in a previous episode of this podcast. They're also pausing a personal assistant project in order to concentrate on ChatGPT's core experience, quality, speed, personalization, and the breadth of queries. Second, resource allocation. Teams are being temporarily reshuffled with daily calls and cross-functional coordination to drive performance improvements. Think of it as an internal war room. Engineering, infrastructure, safety, and product people pulled into the same cycle to squeeze out latency, strengthen guardrails, and reduce wrong answers or hallucinations. And then thirdly, their roadmap. So several outlets, including Fortune and the Wall Street Journal, report that a new reasoning model is being treated as a key Code Red deliverable, framed internally as something that can outperform Google's Gemini 3 on OpenAI's own tests. So what you're seeing now is a classic Silicon Valley maneuver. Stop doing lots of things badly, do a few things really well, win the confidence of the public, the users, and the investors. When ChatGPT launched in late 2022, it was Google that reportedly declared a Code Red internally. Search was under threat and Google rushed out Bard and then rebranded and updated their model to Gemini. That moment forced Google to admit that its search and assistant strategy was not keeping pace with what users suddenly expected from conversational AI. Fast forward 3 years, and now those roles are reversed. Now it's OpenAI feeling the heat from Google's surge. OpenAI is no longer the obvious untouchable leader. It is one of several heavyweights in a very, very tight AI race. So, how is this all going to play out? Well, when a single internal memo from a CEO can pause lots of new projects, that's a signal that they are really thinking about how they want to maintain market share and how they want to go forward with the competition right side by side at their shoulders. And probably there's some lessons for us in all of this too. So what would happen if we were declaring a Code Red within our own organization on our own AI systems? What if ChatGPT was our main vendor, but suddenly they pivoted? Do we have any other alternatives? Or are we committed to just one large language model? Maybe for you it's Gemini 3 or maybe it's Copilot. Remember that Copilot is built on OpenAI's foundations, and Microsoft, that owns Copilot, is a big investor in ChatGPT. And are we evaluating tools on stability, governance, and accountability, or just on who has the most users? So a lot to think about after today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a pro that you know. And if you want me to help you with your AI roadmap, with some training, or invite me along to speak at your event or to your leadership or to your team, drop me an email to joanne@digitaltraining.ie. And if you haven't already got your companion to this podcast, you can get your hands on AI Playbook, my 4th book, at aimarketingplaybook.ie. I'm Joanne Sweeney. This is AI 6. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.